Welcome to Sold with Webinars, a podcast that aims to uncover how the most successful experts, coaches, consultants, and e-course professionals sell their products and services with just one sales presentation or webinar. A simple sales webinar can transform the business and life of a solopreneur. And this podcast will show you how other experts just like you are generating 6 and 7 figures per year online with their webinars. So let's get started. Hey there, Joel Irway here, and thanks so much for tuning in today. I'm really excited about having today's guest on the show, Ryan Stewman from thehardcorecloser.com. Now, Ryan and I have a history. We've known each other for a little over a year and a half, and Ryan has been focused on sales in lots of different areas. And since webinars are all about making sales online, I asked Ryan to hop on the show and talk about his experience with webinars, because he's using webinars to sell his programs to the masses right now, and he's having tremendous success. But I specifically wanted to have Ryan on the show to talk about the relationship between his previous sales experience and how he's used his sales experience from selling, his mortgage industry and selling on the phone and selling one-to-one, and what's different about selling on a webinar where he's able to sell to the masses. And so I wanted to ask him those specific questions, and he dives deep into his current strategies and what he does for how he relates the two, and specifically talks about the most important aspect of sales, which is not getting into too much detail. And so I'm really excited about what you're going to learn today on our episode. And so without further ado, let's get right into the interview and right into today's show. Ryan, welcome to the show, man.
What's up, Joel? It's weird because we know each other in person. I'm used to seeing you in person when we talk. So it's weird that we're looking through video. Because most of the people that I do these interviews with, or that you do these interviews with, you've never met in person. So it's kind of different when you actually know somebody. You're just like, oh, it's like my homeboy Joel hanging out over here. I don't feel any nervousness or anything.
So let's jump right into it, man. And if in case my audience doesn't know who you are, give yourself a mercifully brief introduction, background, and a quick rundown of who you are, who the Hardcore Closer is.
So my name's Ryan Stewman, and I own a company called it's called Hardcore Closer. We have a blog that's probably one of the most popular, it's one of the most popular sales blogs on the planet. I write for Forbes. I'm an advisor for Forbes. I'm an advisor on several other huge publications like Entrepreneur and things like that, where I have a green light to put anything I want on Huffington Post. We put our podcasts up there and everything else. So I'm trusted by a lot of the big brands as an influencer. I've sold from door knocking. I've sold face-to-face. I've sold from the stage. I've sold on the phone. I've sold through text message. I've sold on social media. I've sold on video. I've sold on webinars. I'll be selling in holographs if they'll let me. I'll sell in virtual reality when the time's right. Like, I got an experience. I've never had a salary job my entire career. Like, I've never taken a personal paid day off. I've never taken a paid vacation. I've never been paid for anything but my effort. So the things that you'll hear me talk about today won't be speculation. They won't. And this is why Forbes and them trust me to advise their audience. It's not speculation. You can look me up on social media. I'm not one of these guys that say, oh, you should use social media. And then you look me up and I got a 5 followers or so. It's nothing like that. Like, everything about me that you hear today is going to be from experience, not theory. And shit, they don't call me the Hardcore Closer for nothing, man. I'm all about sales. Yeah, but really, that's like a nickname that came on the back of my company, just to be honest with you. But, it's like you said, I've sold on webinars and from the stage and everything else. So I know you guys are really interested in webinars on this show. So I'm going to share with you my webinars, because guess what? None of my people give a shit about webinars, right? Like not doing them, because they'll buy from them. They love coming to them, but they don't care about putting them on. That's not what no sales dude's walking around the sales floor right now going, dude, we got to get a webinar going on, right? Like, that's just not happening, right? Which is good for y'all, because y'all get to get webinars in front of them. So anyway, I'm excited to share this because it's not something that I can really share with my people. So it's awesome to be here.
Awesome, man. I love having conversations with you, because it's stuff just starts going at like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Your brain moves way quicker than mine does, and so just to hear whatever comes out of your mouth, I just start laughing. So it's great stuff. I mean, I laugh because my brain, it takes so long for it to catch up. So if I'm giggling, that's the only reason why I'm giggling. So let's start with When was the first time you ever tried to sell with webinars? Like when you're online, right? You got your products and services. When was the first time you tried to sell with webinars?
Well, so I've been in this business for about 7 years, and I've been doing this a little before they called them webinars. We didn't use like GoToWebinar and stuff like that, or Google Hangouts is actually what I prefer to use, but we didn't use any of that stuff. It was like you made a video, and the video was like an hour-long training. So I've been doing like quote unquote webinars for a while, really before that was like a mainstream word. But I didn't really. I had went probably I did them for maybe a year and a half, and then I went probably 5 years without doing any. Until really I ran into you and Russell when I met you up there at Russell's place in Boise, and y'all got me rethinking the whole webinar thing. And, he was all on top of it. It's like, man, you got to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw that you were actually really what inspired me to do it. Is I was like, man, that dude Joel that I met up in Boise, man, that guy's helping. I see a lot of people's webinars being promoted and doing well because of him. It's like, I better get on this shit, man. And so I decided to like give it a try. I really did. It was like my first time to give it a try. And you were really the inspiration behind it. It's like, man, it seems to be helping a lot of people from the inner circle make this happen. So I'm just going to try to do it. And if we screw it up, then, shit, I'll hire Joel. He obviously knows what he's doing. And if it goes well for us, then we'll just keep doing whatever's working well. And it had been like 5 years. And I still remember it was like October of 2015, I think is when this happened. And I ran an advertisement to my list. I already have a good size list. I built a good size following. Like I said, nothing you'll hear here is theory. It's all from experience. So I built a decent size list, like 40,000 people, and I've got 100,000 people, maybe at this time 50,000 people 2 years ago on social media following me. And so I had like maybe 200 people, 300 people show up for the webinar, but we did like I think $42,000 in sales from it. And I was like, oh shit, I knew it. We've been missing out on something. And then we like replayed it again like 2 days later to like a super like, hey, real quick, if you missed it, we'll do it again for you, to like an even smaller list, and pulled another 26,000, I think it was. So it was like 42 and 26 or something. Like it was somewhere in the 40. It's been like a year and a half now, right? So it was $40,000 and $20,000, we'll just call it, that we pulled out of this thing within like a 4-day period of time. And actually, at the time, there, if you were at funnel hacking, which we were just talking about going to here in my home city of Dallas, but if you were at funnel hacking, on the chairs and Russell Brunson's like calls to action was like a message that I had left him on his voicemail. It was like, holy fuck, Russell, I can't believe it. I just made almost like, and I was like going on about all this. And he had that transcribed and was on the front page of his magazine. Because we hadn't tried webinars in so long that our audience was just waiting for, and some of my quote unquote competitors do webinars, but I mean they didn't have it down to the science like what we knew, and both of us learned a lot of our stuff from the same source, and so we put it to work and it's worked well. But we do it different than a lot of people, and I know that you and I had talked about this before, and we've been consistent with webinars since October of 2015. And but when I say consistent, we don't offer like 3 times a day or 2. Like we do 1 or 2 a month. That's it. My audience is salespeople. As a matter of fact, my audience isn't your typical dumbass salesperson. It's somebody who's making 6 figures or more a year. It's somebody who's got experience, is already a good salesperson, and oftentimes it's a business owner who's got to find ways to leverage his ability to sell his own company and something else. So I'm not really selling to like. Now, we do have guys that work on the floor at the car dealerships and in the floor in the insurance offices, but that's not the majority of our people. They're real estate agents and entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And all of them are the top that work with us and that we sell to. And the reason why I say that is we're not selling to dumbasses. We're not selling to like the rookie guys that make $20,000 a year that just started selling phones for AT&T and stuff like that. I'm not knocking those people. There's somebody else that can sell their program. We're usually priced out of their range, and so that's not who we're selling to. And we give them all of our free stuff, right? That's how it works. And so, but what I am saying is the people that are making over 100 grand a year that are our perfect clients that we align with, some of them making over $1 million. I never thought they had an hour and a half to sit through a webinar or would give a shit to sit through a webinar for an hour and a half, which is why I hadn't done one for 5 years. But it turns out if you do it correctly, like, and especially in the way that you teach, Joel, if you do it correctly, that thing works. Like even to hold the most alpha male ADD type of personality, it still captivates them as well and kept them there. That's how we were able to make all that money. It was still our perfect customer that was showing up,
Yeah. There's a couple of really good things that you talked about there. First of all is knowing who your target audience is, like you have a laser defined target audience. You know your audience like the back of your hand, which is so important. And giving them a way for them to continue to interact with you, whether it's live stream or with webinars. So you talked about having these alpha males, these people who they value that, you think that they value their time more than money, and they do. Most of them do value their time more than their money. But I hear that time and time again, like, oh, my audience isn't going to sit through a webinar. It's like, well, I would challenge you not to think that, because it's just an objection that you have of why you don't want to sit down and build a presentation. And so I'm glad that we have a success story of saying, like, because you only deal with people who are six-figure earners and above, and usually at that level, like, they value their time more than anything because they know how to make money. So that's really cool.
Well, if you think about it, like, so I've met financial planners. We deal with those guys a lot. Guys like, hedge fund managers, presenters, things like that, and the different financial services. And they say the same thing. They're like, well, probably these live streams or webinars won't work for my business. And I'm like, let me ask you this. If you could fill a room full of people and they would come to watch you in the conference, same thing with our bankers, right? It's like, if you can fill a room full of people that'll watch you explain the home buying process in person, why couldn't you put that same amount of people and let them watch from the comfort of their own house through a live stream? And oftentimes at that moment, they're like, I never really thought of it about being the same thing. And it really is. It's no different. Like right now, when we're doing this podcast, this is no different than being on the stage, or us having in this case, it's us having a one-to-one conversation as if there's an audience of 50,000 people watching us, right? It's no difference. It's the same thing if you're like a financial planner and you're trying to show people why they should invest in your fund, then, this is the same slides and stuff that you can go over through a webinar that you can in person. You know what I mean? And oftentimes they would say things like, well, we usually buy them a steak dinner or whatever. I'm like, get their address and have that shit delivered to their house. They're going to love you for it. They get to spend time with their family. They don't have to dress up, send the freaking steak over to their house, and then just get them to sign up on the webinar.
Yep. 100%, man. I love it. So, talk about real quick, Ryan, what, like, the different mentality of selling via webinars where you can't necessarily see the person that you're talking to across the other end of the table or whatever, versus when you're face-to-face selling. Like, how is that different? Do you find it more difficult to sell via webinars versus in person? I would love your experience on that.
I actually prefer webinars because, one of the reasons why in October of 2015 we decided to start doing webinars, another reason why that was a needed thing was because I could no longer, at this time I didn't have my sales team. Mm-hmm. So I could no longer keep up with the sales calls. There was no way I could constantly do that many sales calls every single day. So I was like, well, we can just get them all to one place and I'll pitch everybody at once. And that's what we started using webinars for. So I prefer webinars because I don't have time to do face-to-face anyway, but I treat it the same. It's like, if you can't, but I don't treat it as if it's one-on-one. I treat it as if it's a room full of people, as if I'm up there on the stage. I've got the pulpit in front of me. I've got the little speaker thing that they have, like Joel Osteen has. It's like, my daddy, he was always a nice guy. He built this church with his bare hands, and then they let this basketball team play here. Like I like think of what it would be like to be that person. So when I'm on there, I don't even look at the amount of people on the webinar or who aren't on the webinar, right? Like once I'm on there, I don't answer questions. I don't get caught up in all that stuff. If something goes wrong, somebody on my team will send me a message on my phone so I can see that thing light up. So if I see it light up, I know I did something wrong or whatever, but I don't engage with the audience anymore. I'm into like, okay, this is the Ryan, you're here for the Ryan Stewman show. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to put it on for you. And so I do my dog and pony show. And then at the end, I go back and engage the audience. But I treat that no different than, like, I speak at Funnel Hacking last year, mm-hmm. and I'm about to speak at Glazer Kennedy's super conference here in a couple of months. And so I speak in these big stages full of lots of people anyway. So I'm it's weird, I know to say this, but I'm kind of getting used to that anyhow. And the webinars have really helped me because I'm used to speaking in front of hundreds. We've had as many as 8,000 people on our webinar before.
Nice.
And so, we've I'm getting used to doing that at this point, and so I treat it the same as if I'm from the stage, not so much as if it's face to face. Now, I have done, and this is actually on hardcorecloser.com under the top tabs under trainings. One, I can't remember the name of it, but one of them is me on a hangout with like 4 people, and I go through and I close each one of them. So I've used it on like face to face from a very small perspective where it's just a couple of us. but I've never, there's another one on there where I got two guys on the phone at the same time. And I'm like, hang on, let me talk to this guy real quick. And the other guy's in the background listening while I'm closing one of them. Then I pick the phone up and the other guy's like, hell, just take my money too. I'm sold. And but I've treated it that way. But when it comes to doing a webinar, I treat it as if it's like a room full of people and I'm in the center stage here. And it's like, I treat it like it's got to be my show.
Specifically when it comes down to the close, though, when you come down to asking for the sale and you're giving them the pitch and you're going over your offer, you're going over whatever you're trying to sell them versus in person versus on a webinar, how do you handle that differently? Because when you're giving a presentation, right, it's like you can't see what their objections are, you can't see what their reflexes or what their, why they might not buy. So how has that been different than how you approach like a phone sale or one-on-one sale?
Well, they call me the hardcore closer because I have gotten really good at handling objections up front. I think that's what's hardcore. I think hardcore is the proof's in the pudding. You can see that these say Stripe. Those are Stripe notifications that I'm getting right now as we're like on this thing. And that's because I've handled those objections up front. And so I do that in my presentations, whether I'm on the phone with somebody or not. We have a process we call catch. You've heard me explain it. Called catch. I use that same thing from the stage, except for I use it proactively. One thing that you said earlier, which is of paramount importance if you're going to sell anything, is I know who my audience is. Mm-hmm. And since I know who my audience is, I know what they think. I know what they dress like. I know how skeptical they are. I know their objections before they even say it. So when I'm talking on the phone, whether I'm presenting one-on-one or whether I'm presenting to a group or through a webinar, I already know what their problems are. If they're showing up in my circle, they've got a very specific, I'm like Winston Wolfe. I solve a very specific set of problems, right? And so I know if they're in my wheelhouse, there's only one of several problems that they're going to have. And it's just a matter of me handling all of those so that I even have people go, oh shit, I didn't even know that might come up. Oh, that's cool that it gets solved too, right? It's like I take them down that path to where they know all the angles and I've solved the stuff up front. But I do that again, like I said, whether I'm on the phone or face to face, because I don't like objections anymore in the next guy. I'm really good at handling them, but I think if you can proactively handle stuff, like for example, when I'm going through my testimonial part, I'm like, hey, and here we have, Ryan over in Dallas, Texas, who's got tremendous amount of results in the mortgage business, blah, blah, blah. And then we have Daryl over in Pennsylvania. And I'll go through and I'll name, let's say like 20 or 25 different states where I've for sure covered everybody in California, Florida, Texas, New York. And because what happens is they say, oh, you know what? Like there's somebody in my geographic area that has got the results that I want in my business. So if it worked for them, it most likely works for me as well. So then I've already eliminated the will it work for me or the do you have anybody in my area doing this? Or I've already eliminated all that, just in that like one little show of testimonials from all over the country. Because most of my people are American. Again, I'm dialed in with my audience. Most six figures live here in the States. And so I'm dialed in with who it is. And so, like I said, I handle their objections up front. Like when I show the testimonial, same thing. Like part of my closing statement is like, how much is it if you make one sale? $200, $2,000, $20,000. What if you make one sale a week? What if you make one a day? What if you make one a year? How much does that make you? And then I like bring out the complete logic of how many sales they're going to have to make in order to buy my program so that they don't start thinking, man, that's expensive. They're like, oh, I only got to make a half a sale every couple of months to make this thing happen over here. And it just like reduces it to the ridiculous. So as I'm going through my presentation's not around, it's not like, I'll give you guys a secret. Like my whole presentation is not based around my product or me. My presentation is based around the results of what they want, right? My presentation is based around handling their objections and getting them the results that they want so that they can buy. I don't think anybody gives a shit about like 180 module training thing online. I don't think, the network's cool, but belonging to people's cool. But I think that what most people care about is like, hey, I think I can generate leads and close some more sales using this stuff that Ryan's selling. I don't know what the hell it is. I'll figure that out once I buy it.
Yeah. And so I love what you said there. There's a lot of gold in that, in handling the objections, like during your content and during the main part of your presentation is super, super important because they need to be sold before you ever get to the offer. Right. When you get to the offer, it's just like, okay, here's what to do next. Like, if you're trying to sell them when you get to your offer and when you get to your sales pitch, like you're behind and you're trying to be like, oh, you're going to get all these bonuses and all this other crap. And you're trying to now use pressure sales tactics to close them. And it's like when you handle it up front, the sales close is awesome. And what I loved about your presentation when I looked at it maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, when you were pitching your $2,000 product, and we'll get to this in just a second, when you were pitching your $2,000 program, your pitch was like 5 minutes long. And it was basically like, by the end of this program, you're going to be able to generate leads and sales every single day. And it's $2,000. Boom. Like it was so short, and it didn't go into any detail of what, like it was so broad. You didn't tell them like, oh, there's 85 videos and there's this and there's that. And it was just like, it was like the best representation of like the ultimate sales pitch that I've ever seen. It's like, here's the result. Because that's all people care about. And if I give you $2,000 and you're going to promise me that I'll get sales daily, boom, I don't care. I don't care how it's going to happen, right? It's just going to happen. Like you're going to show me how, and people get hung up with that all the time. So that was great.
Well, we don't sell what we think we sell. So this is like, people call me a sales trainer. I'm a salesman. But it's not so much I'm a sales trainer. I'm just a consultant that's educating them on how to generate leads, close sales, and put systems in place, right? Hardcore Closer is simply a moniker and a company name because that's the type of person that we like to attract. But here's the thing, it's like we don't sell mortgages. We sell the American dream of homeownership. We don't sell the real estate agent and a sign in the yard and being put on the MLS. We sell the ability of changing your life, whether it be you sell a house for only a few reasons, right? You sell a house because divorce, you lost your job, you got a raise, you got transferred, you got relocated, you're retiring, you're tired of living there, you want a better school district for your kids. There's only a handful of reasons someone goes, hey, I want to pay a realtor 6% for sticking a sign in the yard, And so when you uncover that and you start selling that, that's where you make the money. It's like, again, nobody wants to refinance their house. Nobody wants insurance. Right? What they want is peace of mind. What they want is money from a transaction so they can pay off their credit card debt so that they can get peace of mind, or so that they can pay off their credit card debt so that they can divorce their significant other and they can both leave the situation with zero debt and not having to tie each other down. There's reasons for these things that happen. It's like the reason why people buy an alarm is not because they want something to beep every time you open the door in your house, or not because they want a camera on the front of their house. It's because they want to keep their family safe while they sleep at night and don't have the ability to keep an eye open, right? And there's a reason why people buy a drill. It's so that you get a hole. It's not so that you actually have a drill. And the reason why they buy the drill is so that you can get a hole, so that they can put a wire through it, so that they can have a light. And as soon as you start thinking of things on that level, you don't have to explain all these modules, right? My sales pitch was really simple. It's like, hey, you want to generate leads, you sell real estate, you invest $2,000. I help you get 10 leads for $25 a day. It's going to be only a matter of time before you get one that buys something from you. You're going to make $5,000 or $10,000. Then you've got my stuff paid back and we're both happy. And look, it's no secret that, and I say this in my sales pitch too, it's no secret that I'm not the friendliest person on the planet, right? Like I'm a grumpy bastard. I tell a lot of people to fuck off and everything else, but I have a 7-year track record with no complaints, right? Like I'm not on rip-off reports. We even have a line of credit from a bank to finance people into our events and stuff like that. And the bank said that we have people hit us up for this all the time. We have never extended credit to anybody ever in the history of our bank. But we've seen you in business at this time for 5 years, and you're not on there's nothing negative about you anywhere. And the only way that you can accomplish something like that is always delivering. And then when you can't, we can't deliver, we refund people's money. We don't offer refunds, but dude, if we can't help you, we don't want to steal your money. That's not just how it works, right? And we've only had to do that maybe 5 times in 7 years, but we commit with people and the training works well. And so again, when I come at these people and I say, hey, like, here's the promise. If you do the work, you can't not make your money back from this. It's impossible. The only way that you can't not make your money back is if you don't do the work. And if you're not willing to do the work, please don't buy it, because I don't want to take your money. And at that point, they're like, dude, this guy's pretty damn believer in his stuff. And like I said, I have the proof behind me, because they're like, man, I Googled his name. It doesn't say anything but a bunch of, awesome stuff that he wrote about different websites and things. And I don't have like professional SEO guys or any of that shit. It just doesn't exist because we don't do it. We don't rip people off, right? Even our haters are like, you know what, man, I don't like that guy, but his shit's good.
Awesome, man. Well, let's talk about your stats now. Let's talk about your webinar stats and what's happening with where you're going now. So to bring my viewers up to speed, talk about a $2,000 product that you were selling a few months ago. You've transitioned now into making this a membership site, right? It's continuity. So all of your programs are now in a $297 per month membership program, or you can pay it yearly. So tell us a little bit about that product, and now talk about how you're selling that via webinars and what are some stats. Let's get some nitty-gritty details.
So we have a network called Break Free Academy Entourage. You can check it out for your listeners at breakfreeacademy.com/entourage. And it's basically like in digital marketing terms, it's a membership site with about 180 videos that pertain to marketing, Facebook ads, LinkedIn marketing, Twitter, all things social media. It doesn't have any Google or SEO or stuff like that. It's all social media marketing, how to create ads, how to create what we call lead traps. The rest of the market calls them funnels, but how to create these lead traps and how to create sales systems. Like it's everything. And we constantly add to it. We're always adding videos to it. We changed it to a continuity site because we were making one-off products one after the other. And we were like, dude, let's just put all of our stuff in one place and just charge people a monthly access to it. And if they use it, awesome. If the stuff that they don't use, we don't have to create a whole new funnel for it every damn time. And but we made it, but wait, it gets more. We made it even better in the sense of, we didn't just take the membership site that we uploaded videos to. We do 2 live streams with the group twice a month. We call it Night School. And then we do a monthly newsletter that we mail out in the mail to them. It's a physical, it looks like a magazine. It's a physical newsletter that we send out and it's gangster. Dude, it's like the Break Free Academy Monthly is like the most gangster newsletter. It looks like nothing else out there. It's full of the most hilarity, like information and entertainment. There's just nobody doing stuff the way that we're doing it. And then we send them a monthly badge as being a part of this too. So the longer you're in the program, the cooler the thing you get in the mail. So the first month, I think I even have a copy in here. Yeah. So the first month we send you this workbook. And so this is what you get at our live seminars, and you get access to the Break Free Academy digital program and the workbook. So you can watch the replay of the live event and go through the workbook. Right. Mm-hmm. And then here, I'll just show you. Here's an example of the Break Free Academy monthly newsletter that we send out. And so you can see that it's not like your average newsletter. It's all glossy and everything else. It's got our badass logo on the back. But check it out. It's a serious newsletter. It's 30 pages or something like that. And so you get the newsletter each month, and then you get a card in the mail. And so, or you get what we call a badge. And so the first month, the badge was the workbook. So you're a rookie, you got the year-long workbook now. The next month, you get to become a card-carrying member of Entourage. And so you got a little season on you. So you get a card that has our logo and your name on it. The third month, I think it's a USB with some special videos that aren't available anywhere else. The fourth month, it's a t-shirt from our Break Free Academy stuff. So each month you're in the program, you get the newsletter, you get a monthly badge, you get new stuff being uploaded constantly to the behind the scenes, depending on people come in and they're in solar. We go make solar funnels, record them, and then upload them in the program. We're constantly back there. All this for $300, $297 a month. It's unreal, right? And there's nobody doing this much for their customers like we are. But I have a whole team of people. It's not just me. I've got really smart people that are, surrounding me and helping me in every way possible. So we pitched that via webinar. Mm-hmm. Now, my salespeople sell it all day. People come in and they say, hey, we want to be a part of this. How can we buy it? That's what I pitch on the webinar. And then I offer $3,000, actually, I'm sorry, $5,000 in bonuses. And so we say you can pay $297 a month, or you can pay $2,500 a year for the annual subscription. So it saves you about $1,100 if you do it annually. And about 1 in every 8 people decide to take us up on the it's $24.97. So it's $24.97 a year. And so about 1 in every 8 people takes us up on that offer, which is nice because then that sends a cash flow, ding, an instant, at $297 a month. We've been doing it long enough now to where it's a multi-million-dollar program. But at the same point, it's when you get those 2,500 sales during the day, they're nice as opposed to this constant 297s and stuff like that. It's boom, influx of cash. We boom, Facebook ad money. And so, and it's a nice mixture of everything. It really is. And we pitch those on webinars. The last webinar that I did was 2 weeks ago. We had 180 people on the webinar. We had 97 on by the time I pitched. Now, you got to remember, my pitch doesn't come until about an hour and 20 minutes into it because it's only about a 10-minute pitch. Like you said, it's real short. And so it doesn't come till about an hour and 20 minutes into it. And we had 90-something people on at the pitch, and we sold 14 spots. We got about a 14% closing ratio on a webinar, which is rather high. Mm-hmm. When you think about the amount of people that we have on there at that price point, most people say 1% is good. And so we're over here doing it at 14%, but they don't call me the hardcore closer for nothing. There's people that do a better job of that. But I talked to my buddy Frank Kern, and he's like, I'll sell one out of every 100 people that are on our product. And so we had one about 4 weeks ago where I sold 40 people out of like 180. And he's like, dude, man, your numbers are crushing it out there. And I'm like, really? Because I'm pissed off that the other freaking 120 of them didn't buy our shit, because I want to help people. I'm not doing this for my own health here. I'm like, hey, people, did I not explain it good enough? I'm trying to help you make more money. There's nothing wrong with that, I promise. Mm-hmm. And so, so we did this last one, and we made good sales from it. About, like I said, about 14% closing ratio from it. And we've been consistent with that. We do 2 webinars a month. Now, we sell it on the regular, but you can get the bonuses through going through the webinar. What we use the webinar for, Joel, is for the on-the-fence people. Yep. The people that were like, you know what, at $297, I don't know. I don't see the value. And if I do it, I'm going to pay a whole year, and I don't have that money yet. Like with those kind of people. And so we use the webinar as a way to get them off the fence, mm-hmm. right? Or the way that, and off the fence sometimes means that they don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
Sometimes off the fence means that they decide that they don't like the Ryan Stewman show and they want no part of it. And that's okay too. We just need to make sure that we get people to make a decision, because I'm here to help the people that want to make the right decision,
Yeah. And that's really important to understand, is because a webinar is it's just a different medium to sell your products and services. And so you're using information to, in your case, sell more information and training, which is very, very congruent. But it's not to say that you can only have to use a webinar. It's like you have to put different methods of buying, because everyone's different. There are some people who will never jump on a webinar, like never in a million years. That's just not their thing. They'll buy through a sales page, or they'll buy through a phone call, right? But
that's how I am. Yeah. I ain't getting on a webinar.
Right. Me neither. I hardly ever get on webinars. I think I've been on 2 webinars in the past 4 years, but that's also because I'm inundated with critiquing my clients' webinars. So I just don't have time.
Really weird for you, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, but it's really important to understand that. And so using a webinar in conjunction with other methods of selling, that's when you start to get your compounding success. So, dude, awesome stuff, man. So 14% close rate, and you're selling $297 per month, and then your upsell is just a year-long purchase. You said 1 out of 8 people take that upsell, correct?
Yeah, so it's about 1 out of 8 people. And then we have upsells inside the program as well, to come to like a live event, or to hire me as, being part of like our tribe, we call it. Mm-hmm. And they're not blatant upsells. They're just like, hey, if you want to take the next step, it's like, hey, we're dating now. If you want to get serious, then you can move up and do these other 2 things if you want. And but they're not like, it's not pressure on anybody or anything like that. But that's it, man. I have a sales team of 4 people. And they hit the phones every day. We have so many leads coming in, it's unreal. And we have about 150 leads a day that come in, and so they hit the phone and follow up with everybody and make sure that they've got what they're supposed to get, and if they have their questions. And we sell to alpha people that are already good salespeople, so we don't have to call and be like, hey, listen here, I got this fancy thing. If you just lean on the pin and make a little bit, like, we don't have to do any of that. What we do is our salespeople show up, and they're truly like there to serve them. It's like what people admire about us is our follow up. But we found cool ways to follow up. If you don't buy from the webinar, we don't just send you emails. We're like, hey, is everything okay? Right? Do you have any questions? We really do care about people. It's like, well, you said you wanted this. We're seeing right here in your application. We can totally solve that for you. It's just a matter of moving forward. If they say no, it's like, that's cool. Well, here's another free video. Maybe this will help you out. We'll follow back up with you in a couple of weeks. Maybe you'll be ready then. If not, we'll continue to give you some more free stuff. Because we really do care about people, but we only want to take a certain person on as a client. But that doesn't mean that we've abandoned everybody that can't afford our stuff,
That's awesome.
Who'd ever thought the hardcore closer's got a heart the size of the freaking, you know what I mean? The heart the size of Texas, right? Don't tell nobody my secret. I'm only going to tell your audience this, because we probably won't have much crossover. So it's a good thing. I'll just be quiet. Webinar people do not talk, right?
That's right. Well, Ryan, man, I learned a ton from our conversation today. I know my audience learned a ton. I know you mentioned a couple links during our interview, but tell them where they can follow up with you. How can they connect?
I hate giving double calls to action, but there's 2 things that I can recommend for you. Let me pull it up here. It is not in here. 2 things that I can recommend for you. One is if you want to check out the Break Free Academy Entourage, just go to breakfreeacademy.com/entourage. And there it is. And if you want a free copy of my best-selling book, man, this thing is absolute shit ton of these, man. But I've given away even more. I've given away like 3,500 of them.
Nice.
And I've got like 1,500 or so, maybe 2,000 left to give away. So you can go to elevatortothetop.com. That's elevatortothetop.com. And it's like a free plus shipping offer. Probably you guys know what that is. You pay $7.95. I send you the book. And but dude, this book, it is it's money. It's like the best sales book you will ever read, because it's not some like, well, here's the thing, you got to get up and put your baker's pants on and walk out and be fancy and talk to people. It's like, here's what you do. You go through and you make a Dream 100 list, and here's how you contact these people. And it's like everything you need to know from day one to the end in sales. It's like the sales manual, right?
Awesome.
Whether you've been in this business for a long time or not. And you can use a lot of stuff in that book as the word tracks and the scripts that are in there. You can use it on your webinars. It'll help you out a lot too.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, dude, I had a blast. I always have a blast talking with you and chatting with you. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with you in Dallas in a couple of weeks. So I'll see you down there. But for everybody else who's listening right now, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you give Ryan a shout out, give him some love, follow him on his page, and just let him know that you found him through Sold with Webinars. So thank you for listening today, and we'll check you guys out on the next one. Take care. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to giving you the next one. You can also follow and watch the behind-the-scenes look at how I'm personally launching a brand new 6- and 7-figure product from scratch at soldwithwebinars.com/TV. And if you'd like to come hang out with other fellow experts, join our Facebook group at soldwithwebinars.com/experts. Join us next time, and I'll see you there.